Everyone. I'm just going to take a few moments, see if anyone wants to come and join me while I am actually live. I will be saving this to the grid, that's the plan anyway, and uploading this on our other socials, including our YouTube, once we're done. So just going to kind of wait a wee moment, have a wee chat with you now that we've had a few days since our venue announcement. We've had to change venue and our date adjustment as well. Hiya. And I just wanted to kind of give it a couple of days and let emotions calm down a little bit following it. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be completely brutally honest here, that I kind of feel forced in a way into maybe coming on and maybe explaining a little bit more behind the background of the business than I need to be honest, because I think that's something that we need to remember here, that the Scottish Arm Festival, the Scottish Show Producers Showcase, although they are events that members of our community and others attend, it is a commercial venture, is a business as well at the end of the day. And I think really the main reason I wanted to kind of come on and do a live was to kind of show you my face. This is the face, this is the human behind these events, okay? So there are some comments, and I'll be honest that it's a minority. What you're not seeing are the direct messages and the emails that have been coming in. And because those are kind of faceless to an extent, some of those are even more far severe, okay? Now that's fine, because I'm a businesswoman. Didn't want to be, but I am. And that's part and parcel of running a business, even though we can choose how we wish to articulate our frustrations or maybe things that we maybe don't like about something. That is a choice. And I'm old enough and I'm grown up enough, and I've had other jobs in which I know that when I'm reading some of these things and going, well, that's very much more about you and your feelings than it is about me and the decisions that I've been forced to make. And this is kind of what I want to come in and clear up here, okay? Leaving the Dewars Centre was not a choice. My hands were tied, right? So this is my full-time job. I am the one who spent the time reading all the minutes of the meetings. So, they've got a board of directors. I can read the notes of the meetings and the minutes. I can read those from the council as well, because some people have come in to vent their frustration at my choice of leaving. And some have even then gone on to blame the council. This is not the council's fault, by the way. The local council are actually incredibly supportive of me and my business and what I do. Okay, so that's a bit unfair. And again, any change is uncomfortable. It's incredibly uncomfortable for me as well. I get it. Okay, so what's happened, there's been extensive press coverage. There were whisperings last year, more than whisperings, there were press reports ahead of our showcase this time last year that Dewars might close. And the board of directors said, we'll give it another sort of 12 months and, we'll come back to the drawing board. Now, we've all been through a global health pandemic. Literally, the world shut down, and we live in very, very changed times. In the UK anyway, we are in a cost of living crisis, right? I feel incredibly blessed and incredibly lucky that I've already managed to get my business through Brexit and that pandemic. And there were things that happened within those times, including the size grants, where HMRC actually messed up and I went 8 months without any income, okay? Times have been especially challenging. Now, we've been thrown another curveball. There were some red flags, there were some things. Because I'm good at what I do and I'm a professional, I kept on top of everything that was going and I read everything. And it came to a point where the current state of play with Dewars is, and this is in the public domain, so I can talk about it. Okay, the decision is being made, right? So it's owned by Live Active Leisure. They are an arm's length organisation, so they are partly funded by the council. The council's not responsible. The council does not own their buildings. The council doesn't get a say in their day-to-day running, okay? They have a number of leisure facilities without Perth and Kinross. The size of Perth and Kinross is the size of Malawi. It is not small in terms of Scotland, okay? And they have 3 leisure facilities within the centre of Perth. They've got the leisure pool, which is right next door. They've got Dewars, which homes the ice rink. So the building of the ice and the maintaining of the ice is not cheap. And the bowling hall, which is what our marketplace is built on, has to be kept at a particular temperature as well, which I only learned recently. So every day's a school day. And then they own another sports centre, and it's recently been flooded. And that was the council's fault, because they didn't put up the floodgates in time. And homes were flooded, and they just put in a new gym, and it got flooded, okay? So yeah, that bit is the council's fault. But the cost of living crisis and the global conflicts and everything that have contributed to the rise in energy costs, which means that it's far more expensive to be running leisure facilities, plus the fact that Dewars is not a modern building, was not energy efficient to begin with, right? All this has escalated to a point where decisions are being made. Reports have been commissioned. The council's saying, we can't possibly be expected to fund 3 leisure centres, big size leisure centres, within a city centre area, and it's a city, but it's like a market town. And the plans for the replacement of all these buildings, which had been in the mix, that's been going on even before we moved to the Dewars Centre in 2017. They have decided on one building, and within that one building, they've only just managed to successfully petition to have a new ice rink in there. There will be no bowling hall, there will be no exhibition space, there will be none of these things anymore, right? So there's a lot more going on. But the decision is going to be made at the end of March, beginning of April, and potentially Dewars is looking at closure from the 1st of July, okay? Now, if I hang on to the bitter end, we've got no time to be moving anywhere else. I mean, market operators' licences can take in excess of 9 months to get anyway. Venues for events, any events, are generally booked up a good 18 months plus in advance. Because of all the speculation and the uncertainty and the extensive press coverage, we cannot get insurance to insure the event at Dewars. So I just want to make explicitly clear, we had no choice. Okay. I spent 8 weeks relentlessly trying to secure another venue, right? Because livelihoods are on the line here. My livelihood, I do this full time. The livelihoods of the vendors that trust me each year to deliver these amazing events that they need to go to, where they make money, which then keeps their businesses going and supports their families and everything. There's a lot of cogs in the machine here, and I do all my assessments each year, and it's usually about 100 businesses are involved in mine in the delivery of the festivals each year. Now, due to the size of our event, we are limited to available event spaces. I have been all over the entirety of Scotland. I have looked at the Visit Scotland and Event Scotland dedicated website pages on all this stuff. I mean, you name it, I have been there. I have done umpteen site visits in places. And there's so much. I mean, it's not just about the size of the venue. There's the cost of the venue, and then does it tick all the boxes as well? Dewars was not a perfect venue either, by the way. No venue is ever going to be perfect. But just so you know the scale of what we're talking about here, I'm going to give you 2 little stories. So one story is that we actually believed that we had somewhere that was going to be a great A great solution. Okay. And we went down, did the site visit. We were 2 hours on site. Okay. And then we got about a month down the line and they turned round to us and went, actually, we're not sure that we can accommodate an event your size after all. That's it. We honestly thought we had it. We just hadn't signed off on it yet, so we hadn't said anything. But we thought we'd got a solution, and we didn't. And these things happen, right? So that's one story. The other story that I want to share with you, so you kind of know. So a little bit of background just before I do, right? Perth Festival of Yarn, the Scottish Orchestra Showcase, and I've now got my own yarn brand that I've been setting up, right? I bankroll all of this. Now, the festival was set up with absolutely no money at all in 2016. It was supposed to be a one-off. I'm not going into that story here again today, but I am responsible. I fund it. Okay. Could have set it up as a limited company, and then if something happens, I can walk away. That's fine. We just go into liquidation. I chose not to do that. I chose not to set it up as a limited liability partnership. I didn't turn to the yarn community and ask for funding because we were in a situation where we need to find a new home to safeguard the jobs to keep going and to keep creating these wonderful events that you want to come to and be part of. I chose not to do that. For me, it didn't feel right. We're living in a cost of living crisis, and why should I expect you to fund that when I would still need you back to pay for ticket costs? Because I can't just give you free tickets if you donate to do that. And just so you've got an idea, kind of maybe some of the figures that we're talking about here, one quote I got, they were going to offer me a special introductory rate for, this is just the 2 days the event would be running, not the setup date, not any additional hours that would be needed for load in or strike. £84,000 plus VAT. There would be no electricity for that. There would be no security for that because I have to hire my own security anyway. There would be no support parking. There would be no wastage. When you'll need to hire a skip for your attendees' waste if they're going to be eating on site and things, because we won't deal with that. Okay. Special introductory rate of £84,000 plus VAT. Now, would you like to explain to me how I'm supposed to magic up that money? Because I can't. It's not going to happen. Don't get funding and don't get anything. So we also had to find a venue that was going to be financially manageable, and the majority of quotes were coming in on a 400 to 800% increase on what I was already paying. And what I was already paying was going up 34.4% over the last 2 years, just for the hall alone. Because at Dewars, I hire every single space individually that we inhabit per day. Okay. So these are the sorts of challenges that I've had to look at and to deal with, and have been dealing relentlessly for 8 weeks. I spent Christmas, the entire Christmas and New Year's period, on my own dealing with this, because sometimes those are the things that you have to do when you're self-employed. So I wanted to take a couple of days to let everything calm down. And I say it again, the minority reaction on some of the social media posts. But some of what's coming in directly, not cool. Okay. And once again, I get it. I understand the upset. I understand the frustration. I know, and I love that you get so excited about coming to our events. But we have 7 months until the event's actually going to happen now. I couldn't finalise the vendor application packs or any of the contracts or anything like that until we had the venue and we knew what the costings are going to be. So right now, I mean, essentially the priority was when we had somewhere secured that we knew was great and everything, blah, 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 was to get that information out to you as soon as I possibly could. So that was step one. That's what we did on Monday evening. Okay? The priority then is that I support the vendors and we know that they're coming. Okay, they know what the expectations are, they will know what the costs are, they can make the decisions that they now need to decide, and they'll come back to me. And if we don't have a marketplace, then we're not going to have a festival either, right? So they've been getting my undivided attention. Again, I don't normally give specifics, but we have now issued over 70 application packs within the first 24 hours of those going live, okay? So they're done. We've also got the Scottish Show Producers Showcase coming up the 23rd of March, and I really need to be doing some work for that because hands up, and I've been able to tell them now, and they've been wonderful and given so much grace and patience. I've had to neglect that a little bit, and I've had to now put back the ticket sales for that event because, again, you know, I'm experienced at what I do, I'm a professional at what I do, and I've realised that I need to adjust some things here because I'm not rushing everything through and ending up with the potential for mistakes. Okay, I'm all things to all people, and the buck stops with me on this for what I am responsible for. So this is the plan. I know there are poor public transport links to our new venue. I know. Unfortunately, it's one of the compromises we have to make. And here's the really funny thing. I don't drive. Okay? I don't drive. So I get it. We have 7 months to go. And I'm gonna say this, okay? And I don't mean it to come across as like snarky or anything, but when it comes to things like football away games and music festivals, and dare I mention it, like Yarndale and Wonderable, how do people get to these events? We carpool. I've known in the past Wool for You put on a coach and came down from Aberdeen one year rather than all individually coming down in trains or bringing cars and things. Dewars had a limited amount of car parking spaces which had to be shared with the leisure pool during opening hours and also had to be shared by our vendors as well as attendees. And yes, there's a lot of additional parking and excellent transport links for Perth, but it wasn't ideal. And actually, what's one of the really good things about our new venue is we've got an additional 1,800 car parking spaces on site. We're going to be able to provide so many more dedicated disabled parking spaces on site. We can bring coaches right in to drop off and pick up on site. And there is absolutely nothing stopping individuals sorting out their own carpooling and getting together with their LYS or their local knit group and actually coming up with solutions to this themselves at the moment. Now, these are things I'm aware of and I will be working in time, but it's not my immediate priority with 7 months to go at this stage, I'm afraid, and I'm really sorry if that makes me sound like a bad person. But the priority was securing the venue, letting you know as soon as I possibly could, and then being there for my vendors and getting the application pack out. And because I've been all the way through Christmas and New Year on my own, without seeing any of my loved ones in this, very, very soon I am going to take a few days break away completely. Because I've also got to look after myself, and if I don't, I will fall apart, and then it will all fall apart, okay? This is a marathon, not a sprint, and we've had to go to different venues before because of this. I mean, we've had to put additional measures in place when we were allowed to start gathering again. I had to write out really quite extensive reports to get signed off by the local public health authorities because we still had COVID was still quite prevalent at that time, okay? So I know that I'm up to the challenge, but I really, really need you all to get behind me and support this. because, like I say, it's not just the grand day out, which I love it for you to be. And actually, I think this has got the potential to be even better than it has been before. But there's livelihoods at stake here too, right? That's also really important. And if I lose my livelihood, because the easiest thing at this point would have been for me just to go, right, do you know what? Had a really good innings. I'm packing it up and walking away, goodbye. That's the end of the Scottish Arm Festival. That would have been the easy thing to do. And I've chosen not to take the easy option. Okay? So this is where we are just now. And I just wanted to remind you, this is what my face looks like and it's really tired. I'm aware of these things. But I have to prioritise. And I also have to look after myself. And I'm so grateful we've got this new space now. I think as well, a few folk are making the assumption, oh, it's a much bigger space. There'll be a lot more vendors. And no. Because, and again, part of the compromise was that we couldn't get a full weekend this year. So we either take the one day or we don't have it. I think the one day's better. The better option in this. Now, having this additional space means that we can open this up to things like book signings. And what I will say now is I actually already have somebody confirmed to do a book signing. So that's brilliant. And again, one of the good things, and we were so lucky that we've managed to be able to keep at least one day from our original weekend. So all the tour groups that have been asking for my dates since April 23 for September 24, and we're planning their itineraries and actually selling some of them were selling tickets from that point, we're still able to welcome them, which is incredible, right? Because I was really worried and I'd had to speak to them when I started scouting for new venues and it was under confidence because they needed to know that potentially this also could have been happening and that affects them hugely too. But we've been able to do that, so that's great. We've got a book signing. I am really excited about exploring the potential of having some exhibition space. Moving to this venue also means that I've got greater control over the food options because things have been changing with Dewars and they've now got a preferred supplier that they've brought in under contract and I have no choice but to use that if Dewars had still been an option. So that's who we're using for the showcase. But come our move to our new venue, they do have a cafe there. But I can work with some local suppliers and get them involved as well. That's going to be incredible. That's in keeping with their ethos. My background, originally what I trained in, is I'm a professional musician. I now have potentially the option to bring live music into this space as well. Another positive thing about this venue is it's literally all on one floor. There are no stairs. There are no lifts. How much more amazing is that for accessibility and for those with mobility limitations that need more support? Okay, so we might not have the most fantastic public transport links here, and I wish that we did. But there's actually a lot more positives here and there's things that we can work around and we have plenty of time to work around. And I'm going to need your support to help me do that. And I know you're going to give it to me. Okay, but let's just take a moment. I knew some people would be upset. I knew some people would be disappointed. But it shouldn't be the fact that I've just woken up the last 3 mornings in a row having panic attacks because of the stress of all of this. And because and it's in a minority, but some of the responses have been out of order. Okay. So please just, thank you for your patience. I really appreciate you giving me the grace. to be able to manifest the things I seem to be able to manifest. Okay, this is going to be our 9th Scottish Yarn Festival, right? We are Scotland's biggest and longest continuously running contemporary yarn and fibre festival. I love it. I am proud of it. And the moment that I stop feeling like that is the moment I walk away. And like I said, I had the opportunity just to walk away and to fold this and just go right by. But that was the easy option. And I'm not ready to do that just now. And I also want to thank everybody who's joined me on this live for not asking me the questions about shuttle buses. Because today might actually have been the day that I lost it. Okay, and I'm laughing instead of crying. Okay, so I am really enthused by the really positive reaction that we've had to our vendor applications. I'm going to get back on that. Probably isn't going to happen tomorrow. I have, and again, things I don't like to discuss and to share online. I shouldn't really have to. I have an appointment with the surgeon at the hospital tomorrow in Dundee. And the time of it is basically, that's my day cancelled. And that's my priority, is to go and do that. And I generally try and keep the weekends for myself and for my loved ones, to look after myself and everything. Because if I don't, I know that it'll just all get out of hand and I won't be able to manage things, you know. So you might have to wait a couple of days, and I do have an out of office, well, I do got an autoresponder on the email address for vendors at minute saying, you know, generally just a couple of working days. But we're actually, I think, bar 1 or 2, I think we've literally got everything out already, which is great. I'm going to have a quick scroll. Sorry, excuse me, it's kind of allergies here. I'm going to see if I can have a wee scroll through without losing you on the live, just because I want to have a wee look at the questions. I didn't want to be in a position where I was answering questions, and thank you for that. It was just to kind of give you a little update on all the things that kind of are going around, and I've helped kind of inform this, just so, you know, maybe you've just got a little bit of a greater understanding about it all. So thank you everyone who has joined in. I feel for you. Yeah, it's been quite a time. It really has. Stay strong, you work hard. Thank you for recognizing that. It's nice to be told sometimes. I mean, we don't remember the things that people say, we remember how people make us feel. You know, it's been really, really tough. We will get there, even if we walk it. I wouldn't recommend it with the road that it's on. But you know, it used to be RAF Errol Airfield. They're developing it. It is Scotland's newest showground, if you Google it. It's undercover. They've got huge, big buildings. I think a few people have made comments, oh, you're going to need your thermals, it's going to be cold. Well, we had 30 degrees at 9 o'clock in the morning. Last year, nobody got to wear their knitwear. You know, I think as knitters and crocheters and textile aficionados, if it's a little bit cold and we need to wrap up, we're not going to have an issue with that, really, are we? Yeah, so yeah, my mental health is important. It absolutely is. I recognise that, which is why I'm not going to take some of these comments to heart. And I'm pacing myself, and I know to prioritise, and I know what I need to do. It is not my first rodeo. I love you all too. That's really, really kind. Yeah. So I've already been thinking, sorry, I'm just having another wee look. You'll be camping out. Yeah, there are camping spaces available for attendees and for our vendors if they want to. They've got a brand new built toilet and washing block there. You know, it's great. There's some really, really positive things about this new space that we're going to, but again, I understand that any change can be uncomfortable. Some of it is uncomfortable for me. You know, I didn't think that I was going to have to deal with this curveball too. But you should never sit in your laurels. You know, these things happen, and you know, potentially we could get there and realize, like, wow, okay, you know, you kind of got used to Dewars, and it's not the perfect venue, by the way. You might not see that, but I'm working there and I definitely get it. It's good. It's got an awful lot of positives, but there were things that were lacking, you know, and I did the best with what I had there. But, you know, we might get to this new space and, you know, 28,000 square foot and go, wow, you know? Yeah, it is going to be mega this year. It absolutely is. I mean, if the weather's fantastic, you know, bring your picnic blanket, stick that in the back of your car, or you know, rolled up and tucked in the top of your rucksack. You could be sitting out in the fields round about on the grounds and be having a picnic with lovely local produce that we've got from our local food vendors and things there. It could be amazing. You'll hire out your blankets if we'll get cold. I genuinely don't. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be the situation. You wish you could be there. Well, we have plans. We have plans. More on that to come. We're wanting our overseas friends who can't physically get to us to feel more involved this year. One or two emails have already also gone out about that. There's more to come. And you know, that's the thing. And I think that's part of why people love the Scottish Yarn Festival. We innovate. We've been imitated, literally cloned, gonna say it now because I feel a bit brave, so many times, because we change, we're forward thinking, we lead, and we come up with things that people go, that's a great idea, love to do that here, I could do that, and they do, right? So what do we do now? We change again. We continue to make this an amazing experience for us, and I get that the venue change doesn't suit everyone. Nowhere, nothing is always going to suit everyone. Yeah, I've just got to deal with the best of the situation that I've got, and I am enthusiastic about it. I'm rearing to go. I'm just, obviously, I've got to pace myself and I've got to prioritise things. But it does feel, and I'm a little bit disappointed that I feel that I've been pressured to come on and do a live and kind of talk about some of the background stuff to you. You know, that shouldn't be the case. And I do think that sometimes that's the difficulty that we've got of, you know, we have communities, but define the communities, because you've got your Ravelry bit of the community and you've got your podcasting bits of the community and the communities that are set up around individual podcasts, and then some that are in Facebook groups or some that are local yarn stores. But we have this overriding umbrella of what we believe is the yarn community, but there are also businesses that operate within that and within that industry, and yes, there's intersections. But that doesn't mean that people who come to the event get to know all the backgrounds, business sensitive, commercially sensitive stuff, or personal things that are going on in my life, you know? And I think sometimes we maybe need to stop and think about that too. Yeah. So it's been intense. I'm okay. I'm very, very tired. I am so tired. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I think you're all incredible, you know, and I think the overriding response has been positive. You know how hard I work at this. Most of you do. You know, there's been a surge of new followers and things, and maybe this is the first time that you're seeing this very, very tired face. But yeah, that's where we are. It's going to be good. changes are sometimes necessary. Sometimes they are foisted upon us, excuse me, and we'll get there. We will absolutely get there. We'll do it together. I know you're going to support me on this. I will lean on you when I need to. You love the Starface. I love you to bits, sweetheart. I really, really do. I've always had a great deal of respect for you and what you do. Events are so difficult to manage, and you do it with grace and aplomb. Thank you. It is hard. It's really hard. It's becoming more difficult, I think, within the UK in particular. I don't know what it's like overseas, but you just need to look at the absolute state of the music festival side of everything. Doonheim just announced a couple of nights ago that they can no longer continue. Music festivals are just falling like dominoes because they can't secure the acts, they can't secure the funding, they can't get the insurance. Everything's getting priced out, and these are a huge part of our culture, and we're losing them because it's changed times. Nobody wants to see these things. Well, there might be a minority of people that want to see things fail and businesses fail, and that's their issue. That says more about them. But things like this are a big part of our culture and identity, and we're losing them. And I don't want to make it sound funny or anything, but on this occasion I fought hard and found a solution rather than packing up and letting this go as well. If that had been the case and we weren't able to hold a festival this year, and we could get the insurance to cover it, there's no coming back. The business has already been through too much following Brexit and lockdown. So I'm sorry it's only one day. I'm sorry this is the venue that we're at. I'm also not sorry. This is what we've got. This is what we're doing. Now we're moving forward. So that's that's where we are with it. Yeah, it's going to be great. What do I want to say? The Scottish Film Producer Showcase is our next event. It's happening on the 23rd of March. It will still be at the Jura Centre. We'll be saying our final adieu to them there. They have been lovely, by the way, because I had the really difficult task of having to say to them, look, I'm sorry, but because of all this uncertainty with your future and everything, and they understood 100%, and they wish us well, and they think our new venue is going to be great for us. They're sad to see us go, but they understand, right? That was a horrible, really upsetting email to write, and they received that with grace. Staff that weren't there, can you imagine how they're feeling right now with everything? It's not great. I haven't responded to all the emails that have come in, all the comments on social media. I do not have time. I do not have the energy to respond to them, and to be honest, I shouldn't continually have to keep repeating myself on some of these things. So just rest assured that there will be transport options coming up in the future. But yeah, it was not my priority when the priority was, and it was quite an extensive statement, and it had to be that, look, this is what's happening. That's what needed to be said at that time. Okay. And I don't know what all the ins and outs of what potential shuttle bus situations or whatever are going to be at the minute. Am I going to take them on? Are the companies that we're going to work with going to want to organise it themselves? Are LYSs and individual groups just going to sort things out themselves? And then what platforms do we use to kind of organise these things? I have it difficult enough dealing with it. Where's my tickets? I can't find my tickets. Emails that we get in the run-up, particularly like even during setup of the load in of the event. I've still got people asking me these things. Can you imagine if we then add, I didn't get my shuttle bus tickets? onto that as well. So I also need some proper time to kind of sit down and work out potentially what we're going to put in place, if we're going to put in place, and how we manage that too. Rather than me making knee-jerk comments or reactions that may not need to change. Okay? So that's why I haven't immediately kind of gone and answered all that stuff too. I literally can't. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Irina. Yeah, we're feeling so thankful. It seems to be a theme that the universe just keeps seeming to align, but at the same time, you know, I work so hard. I really do work hard, and I've worked hard for this since 2016. You know, hard work pays off, people. And then sometimes really bad things happen and things fall apart, and that doesn't mean that you didn't do your absolute best. And sometimes you need to make the decision when it's the right time to walk away as well. That's not that time just now. I do the work with multiple people, but there's no money to pay anyone else to come in and do it. So that's the way we're doing it. You know, I think you were here a wee bit earlier when I mentioned one quote in particular. That gives you an idea of what we're looking at. I mean, for example, where we are now, we did have to use a third party to hire tables and things before, but we always had enough chairs on site for the vendors and the cafe and the sit down areas and things like that. We don't have that with this new venue, so we've got to do third party hire of how many hundreds of chairs? You know, it's all these little things. We've got new things that we need to be thinking about and dealing with, and we're going to have to work with, and it's going to be fine, because it's one of my favourite phrases. This is not my first rodeo. I know what needs done. I know when it needs done by. I know that we've got additional things to do. I know I've got people to lean on, and things are signed off sometimes. The team, there are certain volunteers that will come in. There's mainly, you will see volunteer involvement on the day, but I do occasionally have people just popping in, pardon me, at other times to help with aspects of stuff, you know, and I do have people that can talk to about it and trust it, and people who will tell me what I need to know and not what they think I want to hear as well, and that stuff is absolutely golden. Hang on to those people. Bring those people into your business network. Those people that will tell you what you need to know and not what you want to hear. Because that's how you continue to grow and succeed as well. And it's very humbling sometimes to hear it too. Okay. Yeah, thank you. I've been a lot longer than I planned to on this. Thank you, everybody, for being so lovely. I will wrap all this up. I will go and share it in all the places. If people want to go and read it, that's great. I might disable comments. I don't know. It depends how it goes, but it's emotional bandwidth to deal with it. And all the rest, and to be honest, some of the comments, and you know, particularly the Facebook thing was going absolutely viral. You're just organically boosting my post for me, but I don't need to pay the money for the advertising for that, and I can then divert those funds into the main events. Thank you. You know, it's not always bad. It's not always bad. But yeah, you know, this is my home, this is my living room that I'm sitting in, and this is where I was on Monday night on my own, watching all that go down, all those comments and those emails beginning to come in. I spent 3.5 hours solid on it. There were so many Facebook comments coming in that I stopped getting notifications. Didn't know that was a thing. I do know now. So I learned a little bit more about how social media works that night, and you know, I'm fine. I'm fine. But I do know as well that sometimes when you switch off comments and things, you can get a backlash for that. You know, it's utterly ridiculous to be honest. So that's where we are. Yeah. Thank you, Tori. I kind of reversed meals today because I was aware that I wasn't eating as much as I should and when I should. And having awareness of that is good. Stay hydrated, moisturize, my friends. So I had defrosted some spaghetti bolognese. I had that at lunchtime when I probably needed that for peak energy. I also took some time out this morning and I made some homemade lentil soup in the slow cooker. That's ready. I think I'm going to have that for my dinner, and I'll be able to have a bowl of that when I come back home from the hospital tomorrow. I'm okay, folks, so please don't worry about that. This is an appointment I've been waiting a year for, so it's good. It's not urgent. Very grateful to our NHS. So that's all good. But again, I'm not going to get worried about I might have to step away from my email inbox for a day because I also need to prioritise my health. If I don't, I'm not going to be there. Not going to be fit to do the festival. So that's yeah. It's not that I'm not aware of the time and things like that. It just everything gets so full on, and you literally do not get the opportunity. So I'm very aware of stopping and taking time, and that's what we'll do. But thank you all. We're evolving. We're thriving. It's been challenging. I'm sure it will continue to be challenging on some levels, but I'm absolutely here for it, and I know that you're all absolutely here for it, and it's going to be amazing this year. It really is. And then can you imagine what our 10th birthday party is going to be? 10 consecutive years. Really going to have to go all out in that one. These are exciting times. I'm so grateful and thankful and proud we've managed to get the business here. It did come in for a little bit of criticism, again from a minority, when we rebranded the festival, and I'm making an assumption here, but I think people thought we were being arrogant, amending it with the rebrand to the Scottish Yarn Festival, when actually the biggest part of our decision in doing so was about safeguarding our future, because we realised that possibly the time was going to come when we would have to move. Didn't think it was going to happen quite so soon. And if that happened, you can't have a Perth Festival of Yarn in somewhere else. The confusion of that. Whereas the Scottish Yarn the Scottish Yarn Festival then gave us the flexibility to be able to take that literally anywhere in Scotland, should we need to or choose to, and opens up other possibilities too. So that was a big part of the reason for that. We've had that foresight. We're prepared. We're good to go. We're doing it. And thank you. So I'm going to sign off just now. I'll speak to you all again soon, hopefully. It's been a while since I've done a live, and it's just because, and now you know why I've been quieter on social media and not doing lives and things. It shouldn't matter what I look like, but it was not like this. I was just absolutely hell-bent on saving the festival by finding a new venue, and we've done that now. So onwards and upwards. Have a good night, have a good afternoon, wherever you are, whatever time it is. We all got through January. I think we should all give ourselves a massive pat on the back or a big hug or whatever, because we got through the hardest month of the year. Days are getting brighter, or they might be getting darker if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, but let's just move on with grace into this year, and I will see you all really, really soon. Use up your yarn collection. Start saving your spends now. Bye-bye, everyone.